Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well and had a great weekend as usual. Starting off the stream very strong with a word slip, but it's fine. We'll take it. So I hope that everyone is doing well. And as usual, if anyone is in the live chat, could you let me know if we are indeed live, if the audio and video is good? Hopefully this time we don't have any lags as we did last week, but this should be fixed, so yep. Mm-mm-mm. Hello, Sanjin. It's nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. So I think we should be live. That means we are live if you're getting some live chats. Hi Habib, audio is good. Good to be back again. All good. Okay, thank you guys for confirming, and I hope that you all had an amazing weekend. So what we'll do as usual, we'll start off with the announcements, very quick, just a couple of seconds. Then we'll do a recap of what happened this week, the trades that I took, and then we'll dive into today's price action and what setups we can look for this upcoming week. So as usual, for the announcements, very quick, if you guys want to trade with a 30% discount on Bitunix, what you can do is sign up with our link. It will be available in the description of this live stream. And of course, if you want to get access to our indicator, which is this imbalance indicator, which as you know, helps us a lot in predicting levels, just like this one, is these blue and purple candles. It will be available on our website and the link is also in the description of this live. So with that said, very quick announcements. Let's dive in the recap of this week. What happened? What did we do? We'll make the recap very quick because I didn't do a lot this week. If you remember, I was mainly waiting for the FOMC to be over, which was on Wednesday. So what I want to do is just recap two trades. The first one was on Thursday. Was that Thursday? Yep. So the first one was on Thursday. We had three imbalances at the highs on Binance. And what I said was that this did look like a buying climax. So I was looking for a short position at $118,300 to open a short and take it back down. Unfortunately, if we go over to the charts, this buying climax did end up offering the high before this very big reversal to the downside. That was a very nice job, 2.5% almost. I mean, on Bitcoin, it's always great moves to have. It's very unfortunate that we didn't get one more move to the upside, but in any case, you can see again how the imbalances help you spot buying and selling climaxes. So I didn't take this trade. I was looking for a short and I just got front run. But then on Friday, I was looking for a long position. So this was my support. I was waiting for the imbalance on Bybit. We did have nice imbalances on Binance, so I was just waiting for it on Bybit. Got the job. We got the imbalance that was on Bybit. If you can load, that's your imbalance. We got it. I took my long position, and then I just called it a week there. We saw a pretty decent bounce at first. I was looking for something a bit faster, but I just put my stop loss below the lows, and then today I came back and I got stopped out of my long position. Do you have time to check Link during this live? Of course, we will check altcoins. So if you want other altcoins other than Link, just send them in the live chat. We can look at anything you want. So that was it for me this week. I mainly took one trade, which was this long position, and it was a loss. Very unfortunate for that short, but again, imbalances, they always tell you when to look for shorts or longs. In any case, let's go over to the charts and outline what we can look for next. So if you go on the 4 hour, I would say we can now remove this. I would remove this. I don't think this is a good level anymore. I'll explain why in a bit. So I will put this in dashed. I want to keep this line. I think it's a good reference point, and then we can keep this big area below. So, well, we have a decent high that was formed on Friday, okay, because we had the buying on Thursday, sorry, because we had the buying climax. What do we have below us? That's the first thing to note. Just like we had last week, what did we have there? We had an ugly high because we didn't have a wick. Guess what? It got taken out. What do you have there? You have an ugly low. So same thing today. You could look for this to get taken out. If it doesn't get taken out today, I think this would be better. I will explain why again in a bit. To look for a short to take it back down, and first target would be this low. So of course, if we can bounce before taking out that low, I think this would be a great confluence to look for shorts tomorrow potentially, and take it back down. Okay. So right now, of course, it makes sense to look for the range lows to get taken out. Why? Because you have an ugly low. We have lost my support, which was around this area, which is a sign of weakness in my opinion. And if you go on to look at these often, but they're important when you see them, we have a 3-day imbalance at the highs that got recovered. Okay, so that's a bit of a sign of weakness. So for these reasons, I will look for these range lows to get taken out. Ugly low. As well, you now have a lot of lows. We have a good high, so it makes sense at least to see these lows taken out. Now, if you go over to Binance, what you will see is that we have a 4-hour imbalance right there. So, okay, look at this candle. It's not an imbalance on Bybit, but to me, it's good enough to have it on Binance. And look at this for a short position. Put this in solid because that's a good level. On the lower time frames, I would take the open of the 1-hour candle as well. So let's go for this and this. I think that's a good level. Plus we have two imbalances right there, so we could actually get a reversal from here, which would be nice. Of course, I'm not trading because I don't, but we can start to form a plan with all of this outlined. So, voice crack. What I would look for this week is potentially a move up tomorrow. So, okay, a move up into Monday or potentially Tuesday, but I would like to see a top on Monday. If we get a reaction, of course, I will open a short position up there. So open that short up here if you get a reaction and the imbalances, take it back down and then take out the range lows, okay? This would be the first move I will look for during the week, a move up into that resistance, which is an imbalance on Binance, and you have a pretty nice early order block right there. So a move up into that resistance to see a rejection to the downside. Let me see quickly if we have any confluence. Not the best confluence. I don't think that's a big problem. I don't mind it. I still think it's a good level. But I mean, if you take that range, I guess you have the value area high just above, so that's a decent confluence. Take the anchored view up from the high. Well, okay, so also coming in this area, but we're gonna need a fast move if we want to have this as a confluence. So I'd say that's good enough of a level in my opinion to expect that move up and then a reversal to the downside. And then this is where, of course, it becomes very important, because if we can reach $112,500, so this area, I think this could offer a very nice long position, okay? So if we get something like this, up, down, a reaction, then I think that this could offer a very, very nice long position for a reversal to the upside, okay? I am leaning a bit more towards the fact that we don't get that big of a drop. I mean, if we do get it, I won't mind it because, of course, if it does play out, I will be in that short position. So the bigger the drop, the better. But right now, I do have that feeling. I'm not sure why. We'll have to see during the week that we will maybe deviate just a bit below these lows and then reverse to the upside. Okay. So for this, we'll have to see how this drop, if it happens, of course, how it plays out. I will be inside the Discord updating you. But mainly what I'm looking for, I think for the most technical plan, let me just make this a bit larger. Okay, so for the most technical plan, it would be this, up, down, and then back up. But personally, I am leaning towards that scenario where we just drop down. I think maybe that level still looks good. So down and then reverse to the upside, okay? So one level above that, of course, I'm expecting to get revisited, mainly because it's a 4-hour imbalance, right? And well, it makes sense to expect this one to get filled. And I am expecting the range lows to get taken out. So ideally, of course, as I said, the best way for this to play out, I mean for the easiest short, would be for us to leave that low behind because it's an ugly low. If you leave it behind, that's a very good confidence to expect a reversal just to take out that low at first, just like we had with that high, okay? So that would be my plan for Bitcoin. Very simple, not complicated at all. One level to the upside. I would say this is not really a level, but I would look to trade price action. So what's happening with the imbalances, price action. But I would say 2 levels to the downside because that would be a first trade, maybe around these 2 lows. And then of course that would be your massive level to hold as a support. If you lose this, of course, that would be a very bearish sign. So yeah, to the upside very quickly, the reason that I put this one in dashed, this level that I was looking to short on Thursday, is because at this point, if we do get this, I don't really expect another swing failure pattern of these highs, okay? At this point, I do believe that if we do break back above this high, we will reach the midpoint of the daily imbalance. So this one, which comes in just below $121,000. That's why at this point, this level is not too interesting anymore. However, just like we saw on Thursday, if we get a buying climax up there, for example, if I remind you, that was on Binance. If I see a buying climax or something very interesting on the imbalances side, I will take a short position. But logically, I'm not expecting a reaction at that level because once again, I just don't think that we get another swing failure pattern to the upside. Okay. So that would be our plan, guys. Pretty simple as usual. Are you still high time frame cautious / bearish? Am I cautious? I'm definitely cautious. Okay, I told you I've sold just one stock, not the rest. I have sold the AMD. I'm definitely cautious, yes, but I mean I don't know if I'm bearish. And what's interesting is that even though I was leaning bearish, I will admit I have just made more money on the long positions. I mean, we predicted this low at 107.5, then I traded this low. We predicted and traded this low. So I took a short up there, but then we predicted this low, but I didn't trade it. And then we predicted and traded that low. So I have taken 1, 2, 3 long positions, which have made me very good money. But I have just taken 1 short position. So long positions have been making me more money. That's just a fact. So I don't know if I'm as bearish as I used to be. The long positions have been paying me better. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents. Of course, again, if you lose 112.5, that would be a big sign of weakness. That's when you could say, of course, we would expect the break back below 107.5, and if you do get this, well, I'm expecting the break below $100,000. So this level is massively important. I think I can remove this for now. Not too important. Okay, so this is what I would focus on locally. 1 level to the upside, this one not as interesting, to the downside 2 levels. And I like to remind you about the move on Friday and why you did not like the timing of the low then. Oh yeah, I do remember. Okay, so we can talk about this definitely. I think you guys having access to this, we only have 8 viewers. Potentially maybe 100 when the stream is over, but I think that everyone who starts thinking that way, I think it will massively improve your trading, especially on Fridays. So if I hide this, if it can load, if I hide this, so the way that I look at Fridays and why Friday moves, I mean lows and highs, you could say, are so interesting to look at. I've never seen anyone talk about it that way, so it's something like it's not a theory that I've come up with, and I don't even think it's a theory. It's just a way to look at the markets. So the reason that Friday lows or highs can be extremely strong or not good at all is for one main reason. What do you have after Fridays? You have the weekend, and what happens on most weekends? You have it right there. most weekends you just go sideways, not much happens. And why is that important? Well, that's important for two main reasons. The first one is that because on most weekends price action will be sideways, this gives traders the time to look for new positions. Okay, so let's say, for example, why, okay, so we can dive into this low. Why, in my opinion, do I want to explain it that way? Okay, so wait, let me just go back a couple of seconds. Okay, that's important for two reasons. The first one, as I said, it gives traders the time to open a position. What do I mean by that? If traders are bullish right here, it will be very easy for them in the weekend to wait for retracement, open a long position, and then see a move higher. Why? Because on the weekend you do not tend to get continuation. So if you get a drop, it is very likely for us to not continue lower, but reverse higher. Okay, what happened up there? I just saw it on Binance. Guess what happened? You had a 1 hour imbalance up here with a bearish close, of course. So if you were trading the weekend, this was a very easy short position to take. Why? Because you have the imbalance and you have the confidence that on the weekends you go sideways. That's why most of the time you will see me say that when we have weekend lows and highs, I will look for both of them to get taken out. Doesn't always happen, of course, but look what happened last weekend. Not last weekend, but on this weekend. So right there, this was on Saturday. Guess what happened? You had this low. You take out that low with two early imbalances. So again, if you were trading the weekend, this is a very easy long. This is a very easy long position to open, not only because you had that low, but mainly, in my opinion, because you had the imbalances. So when you have people shorting the lows on the weekends, it is very unlikely to offer a continuation to the downside. Okay, so that's the first reason. And the second reason that weekends are important psychologically is because it gives traders the time to form a plan. Okay, so for bad traders, for example, I don't like saying it, but some people are just not good at trading and reading the charts, especially. Right now, what you will get is that this close, okay, this weekend price action isn't like, it doesn't really indicate anything for most people. It wasn't a very bullish close and it wasn't a very bearish a very bearish close. So for most people, when they go on Twitter, on YouTube, on freaking TikTok, whatever, it will not be very easy for them to form a plan and then to go into next week and say, okay, I know exactly what to look for next. So for example, a job, open a long position and reversal higher. Most people, because you had the close down there, they don't really know what to expect next. And why is that important? Because, okay, it is all based around liquidity. And that's where I want to give you an example. So this wasn't the best explanation. I did get kind of lost in my words, but I do believe that I did explain it pretty well. Weekends mainly go sideways. It gives traders the time to open positions. And three, it gives them time to build a plan for the next week. And that's why usually you look for the lows and highs to get taken out. And that's why on Friday, I wasn't the biggest fan of this low, because as we were going into the weekend, I did believe that we would form a range and take out the lows and the highs. Okay. However, this is when you can talk about impulsive moves on Fridays, but also lows and highs. And this is where, of course, I can give you examples because we have very nice ones. By the way, we have a 4 hour right there. So do we front run that low? I think that would be very good in any case. So I want to give you examples on this so you understand very well. We can start with this example that we did trade, which was at $107,500. Okay, if you remember, we had this level. For anyone that's new, what was this level? It was a 12-hour imbalance. Okay, so if I zoom in, you can see you had the 12-hour imbalance. I took the open, we got the fill, and we got the reversal to the upside. So if you look at this low, it did happen on a Friday. So let's go back to it. This low happened on a Friday. Okay, if you see right there, the date below, it's a Friday. Now, why was this low, in my opinion, very good to get on Friday? Because the way I looked at it is that, well, of course, you have the imbalances to confirm that, but we did have a pretty big drop from 110 $10,500 to $107,500. So that's a 3% drop. That was a pretty big drop. No retracement at all. You had the imbalances at the lows, and most importantly, this was a level that not only no one literally no one had that level. Okay, so when I went on Twitter, personally, what I saw is that everyone, and by everyone I really mean everyone, even the very good traders, even everyone had their level somewhere below $107,000. So some people had, I do remember, 106,800. Some people had like 105,800. I do remember everyone had their levels down there. But personally, as I had my level here, and if you watch the update that I did, what I said was that we could not lose this level. I would not even like a deviation below that level. So to me, this gave me the confidence that that was an extremely strong level, which of course it did prove to be. So when you put the low in on Friday, and that fear was high because you had the imbalances plus everyone had their levels below, what I wanted to see, which didn't play out in the end, but the level still held. If you remember, we did our live right there. What I wanted to see was simply maybe a retracement sideways and then a continuation to the upside. Why was that? Because as I expected a new all-time high, it made sense to me to leave a runaway gap behind, as we had hit a very big level that no one had on their chart. So you had a big level that no one had. It was a hard long position. You form a CME gap. Everyone expects the fill of that CME gap, but what I wanted to see was a runaway gap to move higher and leave everyone on the sidelines. Okay, this did not end up playing out, and we did end up filling the CME gap. If I tell you exactly where it closed, it was right there. Okay, but personally, again, if you remember what I wanted to see, I think this was my support. That was exactly what I wanted to see, and the logic behind it was because, once again, I expected a new all-time high. That was a massive level, and it just made sense to me that to leave everyone on the sideline, you would front run the fill of that gap, which was down there, and then reverse higher. This didn't happen. We filled the gap and reverse higher. But the logic remains. You formed the low on Friday, no one had this level, and you moved higher. So mainly what I'm trying to explain, and I will give you more examples, is that when you go into the weekend, okay, note this, okay? I've talked for like freaking 5 minutes. I don't know if it was clear enough, but note this. When you go into the weekend, the market maker or whatever you think controls the market, they don't want to make the next moves clear, okay? So if you close down here, is the next move clear for most people? I don't think it is. If you go back to my level, when we hit this level with imbalances that no one had, and then you saw the bounce, is it clear for most people that this was a low, they can long the weekend, stop loss below that low and then move higher? Not at all, because most people, once again, as I said, if you open Twitter, everyone had their levels down there. Okay, so when you get the bounce on Friday, most people right there in the weekend range will be confused on what will happen next. And it will not be easy for them to open a long position, one, but two, to form a solid plan for them to be able to catch the next long position for the move to the new all-time high. Okay, and that's the way I view weekend. So we can dive into the low that we had on Friday. Let me show you the way I looked at it. And this should make it even more clear because it's happening right now. So the way I looked at it, okay, so this was our support. Okay, was that if we bounced here and closed up here, for example, okay, and had the weekend range up here, in my opinion, the fear was not high enough for me to believe that this low will hold, so people will bid long positions, stop loss below the low right here. Doesn't make sense for me to expect that low to hold because this level was not such a big one, okay? This level is not so important because you have these lows to clean out. And that's why having this low on Friday to me was not the best timing to get, because once again, this level is simply not big enough for me to expect a big bounce, a sideways range, on the weekend and then a reversal higher. To me, it didn't make sense. Okay. So I can give you another example. Why on Thursday could you have, maybe not on Thursday, but on Friday, okay, on this move right there. Why could you have expected a move down to support and not a move up to this high? Because if you move up to that high, and even if you move higher, so if you look for a swing long position, for me, okay, it wouldn't make sense, Rick. It wouldn't make sense to get a strong move on Friday, get the weekend range up there, just below the all-time high, allow everyone to open a long position during 2 days, and then continue higher, okay? You're just giving people too much time and too much of an easy scenario to look for long positions and then a continuation higher. And on the other hand, of course, for me, it didn't make sense to get a weekend close up there on my resistance and then a straight reversal to the downside. So that's why, even though price was very choppy, my bias was that we would drop down to support and hit it, which is what happened. Okay, so I hope that was not too confusing. Okay, so I will just make a quick recap, and then after this I will read the live chat, because in case you have any questions. The way you look at the weekends is that you don't want the next scenario to be made too easy to traders, because they have time to open new positions, but also to form a new plan, because they have 2 days to go on social medias, Twitter, on YouTube, to look at what other traders are watching for, okay, or looking for. And that's why when you get these non-significant closes, okay, you're still inside the range, it leaves everyone confused, because once again, it's just range bound, there's nothing to note. However, if you got the bounce there, okay, and you closed the week even above that high, then of course during the weekend everyone would be very bullish, because you broke above that high, you had a big move, you build longs on the weekend, you get the move up and then a dump back down. Okay, so was that clear enough? I think honestly, if you can understand this concept, your understanding of price action on Fridays will massively increase. And by massively increase, I really mean it. It will massively increase. For me, most of the times, I'm able to predict Friday price action very good, because I always keep in mind the weekend range. What will happen on the weekend to keep traders confused and on the sidelines, or maybe even get them on the wrong side of the market before you get the next move. Okay? So, are you continuously looking at Twitter to know what the majority is talking about? I'm on Twitter a lot, because I just think overall it's a good app, but I don't watch traders that often to counter trade them. Honestly, I couldn't care at this point in my career what others think, but I do look at some traders sometimes, and very often I do see that they have different levels to me, and to me this always makes me more confident on my levels, because every single time, and it's not to brag, of course, I'm not saying that like I'm better or anything, but even on this low, we can take this second low that we had. When price was moving down here, again, you can go and watch Twitter, I'm not making anything up. Everyone had like a massive area from here to here to look for long positions, okay? And even when they have a big area, it is not very easy for traders to trade around that, because it's a very big area. Most traders want to trade with high leverage. I trade with a high leverage, and it's just not very easy to trade large areas. However, personally, what did we have? I just had one level. This level never changed. Can go over to the Discord. Critical. Where is it? Critical. Right there. Okay, this was my level. Once again, $107,500. My level never changed. So you can take this example as well. When did this low happen? It happened on a Friday. When you drop on my level, which no one had, once again, because in this case what they had is a very big area, what did you have? You had massive fear. How did you know? Because you had 2 4-hour imbalances. So when you go into the weekend range, is it easy for people to build a plan next week to look for a long on the job and then reverse it to the upside? Well, obviously not, because what did you have on this job? You had another 2 4-hour imbalances, which shows that you had a lot of fear. Plus, on the other hand, as I just told you, everyone just had the massive area below. So it was not easy for their followers to follow their plan and trade around it. So most people, what they will do, for example, is they see a big job, they open a short for a new low because they believe that their plan will play out, which will be a drop a bit lower before reversal. What happens? This level holds, which we knew was massively important, and you get reversal to the upside. Okay. So was that clear enough, guys? I hope it was, because if it wasn't clear enough, we can talk about it maybe on the next live. I really want you guys to understand this concept of weekend ranges, because I promise you, if you do, I said it before, I will say it again, your understanding of price action on Fridays will massively increase. Okay, so if it's not clear enough, tell me. If it's clear, then we can move on. If you have questions, send them in the live chat. And keep yapping about trading. I learned so much from that. Thank you. I do really appreciate that. Also, I'm reading Market Wizards, and it's really interesting for the mindset to be a trader. Yes, it is an amazing book, as I said. Later, can you look at hype? It's on our support, of course. But before we move on, I just want to know if you have questions of what I just talked about Friday ranges, like about weekend ranges. Sorry. Was that clear enough? Or I think it was clear enough, but maybe you can make an episode about it in the course. I will definitely make a lesson on this. I think it's very important to understand. Very, very important to understand. Okay. I'll give you one last example on this, and then we'll dive into altcoins. Where to find this colorful imbalance indicator in TradingView? It's available on our website, Sanjin. So if you open the description of this live, it should be the second link in the description, and just click on the link and you'll get access to our courses. From Jack D. Schwager. I just read this book from his and I loved it, so I didn't read any other book from him. I did read other trading books, but from Jack D. Schwager, that was the only book. So if BTC sweeps to 4-hour wickless candles, people will be hope on long easily. I mean, that's not, I mean, you could look at it that way, but that's not really what I meant. Okay? I mean, I would look for these lows to get taken out, even if you take that low and reverse to the upside, but that's not so much for the reason that it's a weekend range. Okay? Why in this case it's not so important? Because in my opinion, right here, people are not too bullish and not too bearish. So I don't have anything to note psychologically. And that's why I didn't like this low, because I didn't expect anything big to happen on Friday to give us a very interesting weekend range. Right here, not much is happening in my opinion. What you'll have is shorts building and longs building. And how do you know that? Well, you can go back. Guess what you have? You have an imbalance. I mean, well, you have a 4-hour imbalance. You have shorts building. And on Binance, if you look at that high, you had a 1-hour imbalance. I mean, even on these moves, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 imbalances. So you know that people are longing the bounce. So in this weekend range, not like nothing super interesting is happening, because psychologically, this move, in my opinion, didn't do much. Okay, we were still range bound. You didn't break any lows. You didn't break any highs. So most people will be confused and waiting. Okay, when you look for a reversal to happen right after the weekend is, for example, as we went back to our level here, right there, when you hit a very big level on Friday, what I like to see usually is for a bounce to happen on Friday and then a runaway gap to form. Because what will happen when you have a big drop and people don't have a level there, what they will do on the weekend, usually because price action is sideways, is they will start to open short positions. And that's why I like to see a runaway gap, is just because what I expect is a squeeze to happen after the weekly open. Okay, so you have a big drop, you have a lot of fear, no one has this level, you get a small bounce, people build shorts during the weekend, and then you get a runaway gap. Okay, I did want to give one more example for you to understand what I mean. That would be the one support level that we gave in this range. You guys can go back, watch our YouTube, even our Discord. You can look that this was during this entire downtrend, and I had opened a short, which made me a lot of money. I had one support level, which was this one, $52,500. Okay, what happened there? You bottomed on Friday. And guess what happened? This is exactly what I love to see. You formed a runaway gap. The CME literally closed at the lows. I can show you this on the CME and on the CME chart. Where is it? So 52.4. You can see you closed down there on Friday. So that's the low of the CME gap. You opened up there and you got a runaway gap. You never dropped back into the gap, but just moved straight up. Let's recap what happened there. Let's go on the daily. You had a very big drop, zero retracement to the upside, from $65,000 to $52,000. So that's literally a drop from almost 20%, and you had no retracement to the upside. Everyone was bearish on this drop, especially at the lows. How do you know? Well, one, of course, you look at Twitter. You see what people are saying. And two, you have the imbalances. What did you have at the lows? You had a daily imbalance. So no one had this level. Everyone was bearish. You had a massive drop. You had a daily imbalance. You hit the one and only support level that we personally had, which was a massive level in our opinion. Guess what? It gets put in on a Friday. This is a very good time to put in a low, because what will happen on the weekend? People will build shorts on Saturday and on Sunday. And what happens on Monday? You form a runaway gap and you get a squeeze to the upside. Why? Because everyone opened shorts during the weekend. And that's why, in this case, putting a low on Friday was extremely good. Okay? So that, for now, that is the last example that we'll give on Friday price action and weekend ranges. I think this example should help you understand exactly what I mean by good and bad Friday lows. Basically, if you are able to get people extremely fearful on Friday and you have an extremely strong or resistance, this usually will be a good time to put in a low or a high. However, if you don't have a big level, and if you didn't get a big drop or a big bounce, usually I don't like Friday's lows and highs. Okay, so I do hope that this was clear enough. I'll remove this. And please, guys, if you have any questions, let me know in the live chat. And of course, if this was not clear enough, or if this was clear, I'd love to get just some quick feedback in the live chat. Like, did you understand what I mean by getting good or bad Friday lows and highs? Okay, so I can remove this, by the way, right now. Okay, so now let's dive into some altcoins. I will first analyze Ethereum. Let's dive into Ethereum. Ethereum, on this coin, we didn't have a good setup last week. Maybe if we swapped that high, I was interested in a short position, but as you can see, we just went down. Didn't see anything interesting on this coin. So let's see if we can find anything on Ethereum. The one thing that I want to say is that, of course, I do believe that if this scenario plays out on Bitcoin, okay, so if we drop on Monday and find a low either there or there and then get a reversal, I do believe that Ethereum this time will reach this area at around $5,400. So that will be the first thing to note. The one setup that I would love on Ethereum, but I don't think it will happen, is like this low is just super ugly. This low right there. You guys remember? You have a wickless daily low. So if by some amazing luck, okay, we actually got this drop and you get a reaction, then I do believe that this will offer an amazing long position for a reversal to the upside. I don't think that this will happen, but I want you to keep this in mind. So what I'll do is dive on the lower time frame. Okay, we have a 12-hour imbalance on the daily, on the 3-day, 4-hour. Okay, I like this area. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Just want to see if we have confluence. Maybe we front on that low even. That would be nice. Under range. Ooh, okay, we have the point of control down there. Yeah, so that will be a big area. So I do believe that if the scenario on Bitcoin plays out, I would look for something like this on Ethereum. Down and then up. Don't have the best confluence because the point of control came in just below, but I do believe that this area will be very interesting nonetheless. I understand it, but I have to work more on trading skills to fully make a plan around that. Okay. What I'll try to do, if you want, Jean-Pierre, if you can remind me next Friday, you can ask me questions about, I don't know, about what to expect for the Friday close. Like what would make sense for the weekend range. Okay, so this Friday, if you want, if you remember, you can remind me, just send me a message and tell me what you expect for this weekend range, what would make sense, and then what I can do is try to give my 2 cents on that, and we can see if we get it right or wrong. Okay. But that's something actually that I already think about. Is like, we could talk about this very quickly. Do we get another close, like another weekend close inside of this range? Like, do we get another slow week and like another 7 days inside of here? I would be surprised if we do. That's why I do believe that it's not impossible for us to get a breakout this week. And if it does, it will be a very aggressive one, in my opinion. Why? Because again, you don't want to close Friday very high but below the all-time highs, because what you'll get is a lot of people opening longs and then you'll get a dump. Okay, but that's something I think about for this week. Once again, do I expect another weekend close inside of this range? I would say no. I would like to expect a breakout soon because this range has gone on for long enough. I mean, Bitcoin has pretty much been going sideways for like, I don't know, 2-3 months. It's been going sideways for a while. So if we can get this exact scenario, or even just a bit lower, and we can get an aggressive move up, then I will expect a new all-time high. Except, of course, if we get an aggressive move into that resistance right there and reject it. Okay, so in any case, Ethereum, I would say that this looks interesting. Solana, we did give this resistance last week and it did offer a rejection. So if anyone took it, I don't trade Solana, but if anyone took it, that's a nice 6.5%. You do have, of course, an imbalance fill that you could still expect on Solana. So that would be lower prices. We can do on the daily. Well, you have a daily imbalance there. I would love to get this. So that would be your support on Solana. So this scenario on Solana, I think it can be developed. If Bitcoin bounces, of course, and it doesn't crash, it can be developed into this and then a reversal higher. But of course, then if Bitcoin loses its big support levels, then Solana, that would have marked a long-term high, and of course you would expect lower prices. But I would look for this support. This one looks very interesting. Why do you think all the lows around 4 to 50 could be left alone? Just because when I look at Bitcoin, I don't expect a super big and extended drop. Extended drop in time, I mean, okay? And even in price. Because once again, if Bitcoin, in my opinion, loses its level, then this would be a massive sign of weakness. So you have to say, like, if Bitcoin drops, let's say, okay, from here 3%, you could say 6% on Ethereum. So from here, if you take 6%, that would be the double. That would put you around this low, okay? And I think that this setup now, it would be too easy, like just take out that low and reverse. Okay, I think this setup will be too easy. So that's why if you leave these lows alone for now, which I do believe that a lot of people will be looking at, you front run these lows, you hit that support and you reverse higher. So that's my logic behind this this plan. I'm not expecting a big drop on Bitcoin if it wants to go higher. Okay, that's very important. If it wants to go higher, I'm not expecting a big drop. So that's why on Ethereum, I do believe that these lows can be left behind. In any case. So someone wanted us to cover Link and someone wanted us to cover, what's it called? Hype. So Link, look, I still like the scenario on Link. It has been respected very well until now. Some people might not see it if they don't know when we drew that plan, but as you can see, I drew it on this Sunday, okay, on this Sunday. That was my support. We hit it right there. I wanted to see the bounce to this resistance. You got the bounce to this resistance right there. I wanted to see the rejection. You got the rejection. So now all that is left to do for Link is, in my opinion, hit the support. I would love a break of $20 on Link and then reverse to the upside. If you get this would offer an amazing long position. Of course, if Bitcoin does bounce as well. So I think for Link, this will remain my plan. Forgot if we had any confluence. You have any volume? So the volume gap will come in at $20. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think these are good highs, by the way. I don't think that's a good high because the value area high is right at the high. And usually when you see that, that's not a good high. So on Link, ideally a break of $20 and then reverse to the upside. This would be my analysis on Link. Then we can look at Hype. Someone asked about Hype. USDT. Oh, just before we dive into that, I want to cover... Which coin did we cover that... There was one coin that we... Oh yeah, it was Pengu. So Pengu, this one was beautiful and gave the move back, but I mean, that was still a beautiful bounce. We had two support levels. This was the first one. This was the second one. These were the two scenarios. It was either a bounce at that first level, or of course, if you lost it, look for that second level and then a bounce. The first level did end up holding beautifully and offered the bounce of from low to high. How much was that bounce? 24%. So yeah, that was a beautiful setup on Pengu. I forgot who asked about it, but if you took that trade, I mean, I might have to get back to trading altcoins sometimes. What happened to it? What? Okay, in any case, I just wanted to quickly recap Pengu. That was a beautiful play. Very beautiful play. So now we can cover Hype. Apologies for taking my time. What chart did I analyze it on? Yeah, Binance. Okay. Ooh, so it has rejected support. It has rejected support. Yeah, that's a good reaction on Hype. Yeah, I think ideally you really want this level to hold. Maybe during the week you get just one more low. So for example, what it can do, so bounce, go sideways, take out the low one more time and then reverse. But I do believe that this already is a good low and you could look for that bounce higher. So yeah, I think Hype, the support has been reached. What did we have? We had the daily imbalance. We had the 12-hour imbalance. We had the 4-hour order block. I believe that we had one more confluence. I don't know why I remember. Didn't we have one more confluence? I don't know. Doesn't seem like I did. Okay, so support has been reached on Hype. Why is the value area high at the top not good for a top? Well, I won't dive into this for now because we talked long enough about the Friday lows and highs, but usually I can give you an example on Bitcoin so you understand better. Usually when you see the value area high of a move right at the lows or at the highs, usually it's not a good low. So I can give you a quick example. I remember the last one. Where was it? Sorry, I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to show you this example, but oh, it was right there. Okay, let me circle it. No, it was this one. Okay, let me go back. So look what happened there. That was a good conference to expect this low to get taken out, so to short these two imbalances. If you take this move, look, you have the value area low right at the lows. Usually when you see this, this means that it's not a very good low. So as you pumped while leaving this low behind, if you had a resistance up there, this is a very good short to take and to target the break of that low, because once again, when you have the value area low around it, this is usually not the best low or high. Okay, so very simple to understand. I won't cover this more because it's already 50 minutes and I don't want to waste more time. But again, okay, this is important to note. You just mark this on your volume profile. Tips and tricks. Prediction for high, please. I mean, I don't have a prediction. We've hit my support and we've bounced. So ideally, of course, I would like to see higher. I can try to give you. The problem with that high is that I don't have historical price action, so it's hard for me to say if that was a good or a bad high. But I have to say that looking at price action, this doesn't seem like a bad high. Let me look at something, actually. This could help us see what's happening. Balance volume. Sometimes I like to look at this. Yeah, I think on balance volume is doing well. So if it can stay at these levels, I would look for reversal on I mean hype once again is to me of course I could be wrong, but to me you either hold the support and make a new high, which to me this would be my ideal scenario because that's a big support in my opinion, or if you lose it, I probably would not look at this coin again until you reclaim that level. So if you deviate below it and then reclaim that level, this is when I will look at this coin again. But to me, honestly, if we lose that level, I would expect a much bigger drop. So that's why this is such an important one in my opinion. So I mean, I don't really predict price action. I just give you the levels. So like a good prediction could be, of course, to get that reversal higher. But we've hit support. You have the imbalances, you have this 4-hour imbalance to fill, so that would definitely be a target. See, on the daily we don't, 12-hour we don't. So we just have, we have a couple of hourly imbalances. So to the upside, I would say, if you can reclaim this, that would be a big sign of strength. Okay, so if you can reclaim this, I think this should be a big sign of strength. So either you bounce and you reject, which I'm not really expecting, or you bounce, you break, and you continue higher, which would be my ideal scenario. Okay. But for the prediction, I already made it. It was this one, as you can see, drop into support bounce. You have seen the drop, you are seeing the reaction. So you just take the long position, you put a stop loss. To me, I would choose that low for the stop loss. And yeah, now all you can do is wait. Can you look at Aave, CRV, and Injective? CRV, I do remember it because I am looking at this coin. I have an alert, as you can see. I put an alert, maybe you can see it, so I will show. So this is the only alert that I have. It's on CRV. When you asked about it in the Discord, I really like this level, so that would remain my level on CRV, 0.685. Might look to trade it if we get a good reaction. Yeah, CRV, this is what I'm looking for. Still a drop to that level down there. So that's it for CRV. And still, I don't like these highs on CRV. So I do believe that these highs will get taken out at 0.94. So if we can drop into it from here to these highs, that would be 37%. That's very nice. So yes, if we can drop before taking out these highs, of course, that would be ideal. And of course, if Bitcoin can hold its ground. If Bitcoin breaks down, you can say bye-bye to all coins. Go long right now? Or dude, what? We we should have mods. Please don't spam chat. How do I put people as mods? Off. Yeah, so you can see guys, you have the 4-hour imbalance. It offers the bounce. Again, do imbalances always. Guess what? On the 30 minutes, you had 2 imbalances. So I mean, again, but I do have to say, I really like that we're seeing this, because right now we're getting the ideal scenario, which is leaving these lows behind. So I would love for this move to continue into tomorrow, up to there, and then of course, if you had reactions, this could offer a very easy short position. So I really like that we're seeing this. I really like it. But again, we had the imbalances, guys. So I warned you. No, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. Like, I don't care about that. But again, it was live. I told you we had the 4-hour imbalance. So this on its own, it's a very good conference to expect the bounce. Oh yeah. So look at AVE and CRV. And please don't spam the chat. AVE. Well, AVE, I don't love it, man, anymore. Look at this level. I'd say look for the fill of this 12-hour. Hmm. Is this a good level? That's not a good level. So now I'd say I'd remove this. I'd remove this because it's already played out. AVE, now you have 2 levels to the downside. I still prefer that one below, so I'm gonna put this one in dash. This would be my plan on AVE. So just like Pengu, you have a first level, which is a bit weaker at 289. If you get a good reaction, you can open a long position. Okay. If you lose that level, personally, I think this is a much more interesting level, which could get reached 272, 273. I think this one looks much better. So yeah, both of these levels are of course tradable. You just have to wait for the reaction. And then INJ, we can look at INJ. Hmm. Let me move. What do I see on INJ? Remove this now. I like this order block. We just have to see if we have some confluence, because this coin has been a bit choppy, so I wouldn't take low confluence levels. I'd need to find confluence here to say that it's an actionable trade. Ooh, we have some volume just below though. Just below. The volume comes in just below. Interesting level. Not the highest confluence. We can also remove this. This has offered the bounce. But again, the biggest bounce on INJ was offered on our level. That was very nice. 17% in like what? 2 days? In 2 days, literally 17% in 2 days. That was on the fill of this 12-hour imbalance. So right now, I think I would look for the fill of this 4-hour and the order block. That's what I would look for. Okay. So if you can get this on INJ, I think this is your best level. Does it play out? I don't know. I mean, I like the level. It's just I just don't like the way this coin is moving. For example, at this point, I think this setup looks much better on CRV. Like, this level is better overall, and I prefer the way CRV is moving. So if you guys have more questions about anything, send them in the live chat. If not, I think we'll end the live stream. It has been 1 hour exactly since we've been live, so could be a good time to end the live. So I'll wait a couple of seconds if you guys want to send any questions. If not, I will do a recap on Bitcoin. We did talk about this before it happened, so that's nice to see played out, to see it play out. We are leaving that low behind, which is exactly what I wanted to see here. Okay, we are leaving that low behind and seeing the move up first. If this can continue into tomorrow's, for example, up, just go sideways until tomorrow and then do something like this, reach the resistance tomorrow or on Tuesday, it doesn't really matter, but you reach resistance, you get the imbalances, you get the reaction. I think this should offer a pretty easy short position. Take it back down to clean up all of these lows, and then we can see what happens. Do we get a reaction there? Do we get a reaction a bit lower? Or does this short, one, does happen, and two, just ends up playing for much longer and we get a much bigger drop? Personally, this is my expectation. I am honestly not really expecting this level to get reached. If it does and we get the right reaction, I think this can offer an amazing long position, but I am kind of leaning towards the fact that maybe we just revisit this level, which was this high, and see high, high, support, support. So support once again, maybe that would be interesting at $113,400. Get something like this and then reverse to the upside. Bro, can you do on pump? Of course. Pump USDT. Let's look at this one. Is it this coin? Is it this one? 0.06? Yeah. Don't have, I mean, I don't have history at all on this coin. I mean, okay, you have a 3-day, that's good. And that's the midpoint of the, ooh, that does look like the midpoint of that weekly. Let me see. That is the midpoint. Ooh, so that is nice confluence. Midpoint of the weekly, 3-day imbalance, daily open, the 12-hour you have nothing, and 4-hour order block. So I would mark this area. That would be your area. I think pump this looks decent. But the problem is that, look, it looks to be a very new coin. You just got a straight move up and now you're retracing. So if it's a strong coin, I do believe that you could get this on pump. Yeah, so down, maybe sideways until tomorrow, down, then reverse higher. So that, yes, bro, okay, so that's pump. Yeah, I think this level looks very, very, very interesting. Of course, if we can get a point of control there, that would be, most volume is traded down there. Not a big problem. Not a big problem. Yeah, most volume is gonna be down there, but I wouldn't like this level to get reached. So I think this would be your area. So around 0.0064 to 62. Okay, this would be your area. I think this can, of course, if it's a strong coin, I think this can offer a very nice bounce. To the upside, I don't see any ugly highs that I can target. I think the highs look decent. I think, except this high, actually, this high doesn't look good. But if it's a shit coin, I have to say, if it's a shit coin, this high is not gonna get taken out. It's just gonna give all of that pump back. But I don't know anything about this coin, so I can't really comment about that. As a technical analyst, you have support down there and you have ugly highs up here. So that would be your target to the upside. Okay. So recap on Bitcoin was done. All coins that we've covered. I mean, we have covered the altcoins, so I think they're done. For the person that asked about Link, once again, Link, ideally, I want to see a break below $20. I still think that this can and will happen. Then, of course, do you get the bounce? It will depend on Bitcoin. Ethereum, of course, if Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, this would remain your target on Ethereum, around 5.3. If Bitcoin breaks down, then very simply this was the high. Would have been nice to be hedged on Bitcoin, I have to say, from this Thursday short setup. But yeah, I mean, if this pays out, I'll be in a short, so that's not a big problem. So with that said, if you guys don't have any more questions, which it doesn't seem that you do, thank you all for joining this live stream, and thank you all for the questions. I do really appreciate it. I always say that, and I really do appreciate it. I don't know what else to say. So thank you everyone for being active in the live chat. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the recommendations. And yeah, let's focus for the next week. Have a profitable week as usual. And yeah, so have an amazing rest of the weekend. I hope that you had a great weekend. I hope that you have an amazing rest of the weekend. And thank you once again, guys. This was it for me. I hope that you enjoyed the live, and I will see you tomorrow inside our Discord. So see you everyone, and goodbye.